So in the last video I ended saying that I had some fisheyes and I have some runs because I was trying to fill up the fisheyes. So in this video I'm going to show you how to fix fisheyes, fix runs, sand out runs without causing more damage. And yeah, so we'll get right into it. But first I'd like to say thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for subscribing. It makes a big difference. Having you guys subscribe and watch the videos really helps me want to post more, and I just like to know that people are watching, and also it helps with YouTube to help more people see me. So I appreciate you guys. Alright, so I got a couple different grits of sandpaper out there, but to start with, I don't know if you can see, I got a run right here, and it actually dipped in a little bit, but sometimes close to this run here. Okay, so here's the run here. So sometimes what can happen if you take sandpaper and just try and block it off, if it's a foam block or not like the most perfectly rated block going, you'll take a little bit off the edge, like where the run isn't, and before you get the run sanded down, you'll sand through the clear. So lots of times what I'll do is I'll take a really fresh sharp razor blade and you just keep it kind of straight up and down. You want to make sure that the clear is dry, or else you'll end up balling it up. So what you'll do, so you can see that's the top of the run there. So what you do is you'll just keep scraping the top off until it starts to flatten out, and you'll start to see it go like white down where the run isn't, and that's when you know you're getting close, and you can switch to a block and some sandpaper. Okay, so as you can see, I kind of, oh, it's gonna be shaking. So there's a couple little shiny spots, so you can tell they're low, but I got it pretty even now. I feel fairly confident that I can hit it with a block and knock it down. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm going to, let's see what you're seeing here. So I've got these little 3M. It's a little 3M kit that has some little foam blocks and little tiny stickers of sandpaper. So I'm just going to go over the run first with it. You don't have to have that kit. You could just use a little foam block and whatever wet sandpaper you have. 1500 is a good spot to start because it cuts pretty good, but you're not going to be sanding out too many scratches down the road. Use something like 800 or 1000, you really have to block it or go over it with finer grit to get out the coarser scratches. So I just switched to the 2000 grit that comes in the kit. Got on either side. It's because I can't really see what's going on with how much material is getting sanded up, and I don't want to sand through. So let's go over it lightly. You could keep, if you just wanted to do one little spot like this, you could just keep stepping up. Stop at like 2500 or 3000 or something like that, and depending on how heavy of a cutting polish you have or compound you have, and then you could just polish this out and be on your way. I'm gonna do the whole area that was sprayed, so I'll be going over it a little bit more. So you can see with the water on there, looks like a lot of the run's gone. And so a lot of that run's gone. Got a little bit still up here to go through, and I don't know if you can see the little fish eyes that I got filled in. So there is clear in the bottom of them, so they should be able to polish out. I'm gonna go over this top run a little bit with that little 1500. So up here where it's a high spot, this is where you'll want to be careful not to burn through on that. Alright, so that's where I'm going to stop. You can see it's all one shade, a couple little dimples in it from the fish eyes. I'm going to block this whole panel out with hopefully 1500. I ran out of the 1500 sheets. I've got 1200. I might see if I can get some 1500 delivered before I start. So I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the video for now, and I'll bring you back when I start polishing the rest, or sanding the rest of it. Alright, so I've got that run sanded out for the most part. Now, so if you saw in the last video, I had a little spot of fish eyes here, and it wasn't too bad. So I thought I could let it tack up. If you spray a dry coat of clear over it and kind of build it up nice and dry inside, because what happens is the oil separates the clear and creates a little crater right down to the base pretty much. So if it's too deep and there's no clear in it, you won't be able to polish it out because you'll have to sand to the base coat. So I was working on getting it filled, looked like it was gonna fill, and then I pushed this door shut, and then on the next coat I sprayed, and I had fish eyes from one side just about to the other side. So I added the silicone additive to the clear, which is a way for you to make it so that the clear will bind to any kind of contaminants on the surface rather than like separate down. So then I started dumping the clear onto it to try and get these little holes filled up and give me enough material to polish out. I think I got enough on there. In doing that, that's how I got the runs, was really pouring that clear to it to fill up those pinholes or fish eyes. So now what you do is you'd block it flat, because there'll be little dimples in it. I'll bring you in closer in a second probably. There'll be little dimples in it, so you block it flat. I would use 1500 grit wet sandpaper Unfortunately, I don't have 1500, and I missed the delivery truck for the supplier to bring them out. So I'm going to use 1200 wet, and then I'm going to go over it with a DA with 2000 quick to kind of blend out the 1200 scratches. And then I might block it again with 2500 wet, and then I'll go over it a last time on the DA with, I've got a little 4000 grit pad to really smooth it out, and then it just makes it so that the finer you get those scratches, the less polishing you'll have to do. So that's what we're going to do now. I'll get some 1200 wet sandpaper, and I might not get too carried away with the 1200. I might just take kind of the top little bit off and then go to the 2000 grit. Surface wet. Because I put that silicone additive to it, the water really beads off the surface of this now. So you're blocking with the shape of the panel so you don't create any flat spots in it. Around to the back of the camera so I can see a little better. So I don't know if you can see where it's sanded kind of matte on the surface where it's high, and then there's little tiny dimple fish eyes in there. So I think that's as far as I'm going to go with the 1200 here. I got a lot of it out. Like you can see, it's really shallow there. Might hit up here a little bit better. We still got some shiny flat spots, so yeah, so I'm gonna do that. Here's a, you can see here, you can see the little fish eyes in it, and then right here there's nothing. So this will, once I get the 1200 scratches out, I'll be able to polish that up good. So that's what kind of the, we're hoping to get it all just matte, that way we know there's no little craters in it. And yeah. Here's looking pretty good to me. I can still see really shallow little fish eyes, but I gotta leave a bit of material there in order to sand it out with the like higher grit sandpapers. While you're doing this, still be careful of edges. You do not want to, even really fine grit sandpapers you'll burn through if you're pushing on the edge. So you could, if you want to, you could run a bit of masking tape along that if you're really worried about it, or just keep the block flat going up and down and don't put a lot of pressure on that edge. I'm gonna keep working at this. Still got to get all back here, and I'll probably do a little bit on the other side too with a higher grit. I'm not gonna do 1200 on the other side, but I'll bring you back when I'm doing however I choose to get rid of the 1200 sand scratches. I'm thinking I'm going to put it, I got these little foam pads, so I'm thinking I might use one of these foam pads to sand out the, I got a 2000 grit. I've also got 2500 wet just sandpaper that I could block it out with. But yeah, I'll bring it back and we'll decide then. Also, here's that little 3M kit, and it's got a couple different little blocks in it, and then a bunch of different little sticky sandpapers. So if that's something you're into. But yeah, I'll bring you back because I'll be sanding for a while, and there's no point in having a hour-long time lapse with me sanding, and you're not really going to care about that. So I'll bring you back when I'm doing something else more interesting. Okay, so I've already got it mostly blocked out. Use a couple shallow little fisheyes in here still, but pretty good. So I'm just going to go over it with this 2000 grit foam pad on the DA and just knock it down. Try and get the 1200 sand scratches out fairly quickly, and then I'm probably going to hand sand it with 2500 again. So. That worked pretty good. So I'm gonna see about just switching to the 4000. Now hit it with that, and then I'll try and polish it and see how it goes. All right. So I'm going to, I'll take the buffer to that quick and see what it does, and then what I'll do is I'll cut it, I'll go get set up with the buffer, and then I'll come back on when I'm polishing. Alright, so we're going to try and try that again. Okay, so we're going to try and polish this up, see what kind of sand scratches stay behind. I'm just using like a Sherwin-Williams like store brand polish. It's just a cutting compound. Pretty much anything you want to use will work. Usually there's like a couple steps, so like step 1 will do the cutting, then there'll be a step 2 which is polish, and then a step 3 which is the sealing or something like that. But McGuire's is good. That stuff I haven't used, but Wizards is really good. There's another brand that I use that I always forget the name, but it's what is it? Far something. It's a yellow bottle. Looks pretty good. Jeez. I can still see a few sand scratches in it, but I think I could probably polish it right out. Man, what a relief. Yeah, so anyways, if stuff goes sideways on you while you're spraying, there's not a lot you can do about it in the time. There's a couple little things, but don't be too discouraged. Don't punch a big dent into the quarter or nothing like that, because lots of times you can save it. Of course, it's not ideal. It'd be nice to not have to do the extra work, but sometimes you might be planning on doing a wet sand and polish anyways. So yeah, I'm really relieved. Alright, I'm going to keep at it. Probably going to polish this out one more time, get rid of a couple of the other little scratches I can see. But it's pretty good. I'm not quite sure where we left off of this thing, but we filled in the fisheyes with lots of clear and the silicone additive. We blocked it all off. I think we started at 1200. You could do 1500 if you had it. Then 2000, 2500, and then I went over it with 4000 on a DA just to knock down the scratches a little bit. And then I've got it all put together now, and I'm just cleaning it the interior. I gave her just a quick wipe down, and then I've got this spray wax that I kind of hit stuff with after. Just spray it on, do a little misting of it, and then give her a wipe down. Just makes it pop a little bit better. And then when customers come and pick up their car and they're just a gleaming, they're happier. I've never had it happen, but my worst fear is having a customer show up to get their car and not being happy with it. So let's do everything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen. Ben had some, he tried to give it an attempt at buffing it. He had put some swirls on it, so I just went over it quickly with the buffer everywhere. And then I hit it with the wax. All my stuff's just at the back of the cars. You'll be able to see them in there. New gas tank. Nice and clean looking. Inside the trunk, nice and clean looking. Doesn't sound good. Well, just that, like, oh, there we go. My bad. Yeah, she turned out pretty good. Give you a little peek of the interior, which had nothing to do with me. Very dark in there. Let me see if I can get you some light. Okay, you can't see anything. 1 second, I'll grab a better light. Yeah, interior looks nice and clean. I wiped everything down. He told me not to get crazy with it because he's going to be storing it and then cleaning it in the spring anyways, so.
tripping over everything here.